Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Joe here. Album review time. We're gonna jump into a band we have not discussed much here on the channel, but one that I like a lot. Jason used to like it back when he was a little cooler. Now he's more about the indie stuff. But back in the day, big fan, and I maintain my fandom. Talking about Dream Theater, the new album Parasomnia. There's my credentials over there on the wall, right there. Megadeth and Dream Theater Gigantor. That was a long time ago. I bought that shirt outside the concert. It was a bootleg. I think it was $5. Still have it though, so maintain Dream Theater fandom. And today we're talking about Parasomnia, the reunion with Mike Portnoy that everyone was clamoring for. His first with the band since 2009's Black Clouds and Silver Linings. It is the 16th album from the venerable, at this point, progressive metal band. I feel like the Dream Theater community has been pretty positive about this one. We get some of the spillage over from Sea of Tranquility over here, but not too much, just a little bit. I haven't seen what they said about this album, but I think it's a pretty successful return for Mike Portnoy, for the band in general. It's a concept album. It's tied to sleep disorders and afflictions, aka parasomnias. Not that that really matters too much, I think, to the overall feel of the album. Not that that really matters too much. There's no underlying messages or deeper point the band is trying to make here. But I do think having the theme, having a focal point for them to play off of and explore is a good idea, as we've seen on most people's or many people's favorite Dream Theater album, Scenes from a Memory. Having that central concept really just helps the band stay focused. And I think that holds true here on Parasomnia. And it's not like we're really listening to Dream Theater for some deep message anyway, right? I mean, come on. We're mostly just here to hear the band. Opener In the Arms of Morpheus delivers that classic Scenes from a Memory sounding Dream Theater that a fan like myself, who hasn't been totally up to date with the band, been longing to hear. Guitarist John Petrucci's tone and construction, those winding solos immediately takes me back. Jordan Rudess's keyboards also seem to purposefully harken back to that album. It's an instrumental, and you get some of that dun 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 dun. Got to be a callback to Overture 1928, right? It's got that herky jerky, weird time signature kind of march to it. This album isn't going to convert anyone skeptical of, Dream Theater's progressive metal leanings. You got all the hallmarks, the epic overdramatic songs, kind of, video game melodies, long-winded solos, some comic book emotions, focus on the paranormal, science fiction. But one person's 18-minute epic is another person's 18-minute epic. And I'm closer to the than I am the. So I dig it. I think most of the songs here are pretty good to very good. Maybe even a couple new classics. I really like the big ballad at the end of the penultimate tune, Bend the Clock. That one's got spoken word, winding, technically perfect melodic solos, some heartfelt vocals from James Labrie. And that one, it's a heartstring stirrer that reminds me a lot of Scenes from the Memory. Nothing here trespasses into new territory for the band, but they sound great. The vocals, you can hear them deteriorating ever so slightly, but I still think he sounds great, at least on tape here. I've heard some mixed things about live, but here they do a good job of, bringing back the classic Labrie sound. The closer, the Shadow Man, that's that 18-minute suite, complete with everything you could ask for from a band like Dream Theater. You got the spooky sounding but bludgeoningly heavy riffs, the extended instrumentals, the paranormal dread, odd time signatures, tempos, cinematic synths. Think on the precipice of a climactic battle of good versus evil. Like I said, they're mostly a surface level band when it comes to the big picture, thematic elements, deeper meanings. It's a surface level type of thing, and that's totally fine. You don't have to try and read meaning into everything. You can just sit back and enjoy the prodigious playing. I think the last couple Dream Theater albums have been inconsistent, some great individual songs, but as a whole, they always were just like left me a little wanting. I think this is their best full album in a long time. With Mike Portnoy back in the band, I think it just, they're whole. It all comes together here. Let's get to the big picture here. Let's focus on the playing. This is why you listen to Dream Theater, right? Petrucci lays out a bevy of impossibly fast and fluid legato picked guitar solos. Jordan Rudess's synths and keys are superb. Sometimes, they border on cheesy sounding, but I think on this album they do a good job of staying out of that Rick Wakeman zone I like to call, where it gets a little too much. Think topographic ocean, just a little too much there. Not here. I've loved John Myung's bass line since I started playing bass way back, I don't know, 25 years ago at this point. No drop off here. Great to have Mike Portnoy back on drums. James LaBrie still has that arch operatic delivery that I think has held up pretty great on the studio recordings. Maybe a little deterioration in those high notes, but still sounds good. Not out of place here. The rest of the band. Production. It's a Dream Theater album. Petrucci mans the boards as he has since 2011. He's been a co-producer since Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory, way back in 1999. And I think you hear that album, especially on this one. Songwriting. So the lyrics are pretty typical Dream Theater. It doesn't tell a full story like Scenes from a Memory did, but the lyrics do have a theme. They're tied in with parasomnias. So there's at least a thread that connects everything. You're not going to have to stay up all night trying to analyze the meanings. The depth is pretty shallow. The lyrics are more about setting the mood and staying out of the way of the sick instrumentals. It's not easy writing all these sweet, sweet licks and instrumental breaks and storing bridges and keep it exciting after all these years. But I think they managed to appeal to the past and satisfy the super fans. Obviously, they'll listen to anything, but also the less super regular fans like myself. The unconverted, they're not gonna listen to this anyway, so what's the point of appealing to them? Best track, I think Bend the Clock, I think is the best on here. It's either that or the closer, Shadow Man Incident. Both have everything you want in a Dream Theater song, and yeah, it's great. Super fast, but also strong melodies, good depth. The fingerstyle intro, overall build of the track on Bend the Clock, I think is great. Worst track, probably Midnight Messiah. Kind of that jump into the chorus kind of feels forced, unnatural. Kind of sounds like they're going for a Judas Priest type move there, but didn't quite execute it. The rest of the track is great, but that chorus kind of leaves me wanting. And that's it. I think overall, I'm gonna give this album 4 stars. I think it's a very solid Dream Theater album. I like the way everything's tied together with the sleeping disorder theme, builds around that. Portnoy being back really takes the drums just to that next level. And Petrucci's solos and playing on this album, just phenomenal as always. I think it's a good album. If you're not a fan of the new album, you can go listen to Taylor Swift. You fake Dream Theater fan. Just kidding. Taylor Swift's fine. And you should listen to her regardless of whether or not you like this album. And that's it. I should mention one last thing now that we have our own label, Taste Like Records, where you can buy the Jason produced On the Banks of Disappearing by Nordista Freeze. Check that out, tastelikerecords.com. And one thing I did not know is that Dream Theater is on Inside Out Records, which is based out of Germany, but their stateside division is actually based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, just like us. I did not know that. Pretty interesting. They have like every single progressive metal prog rock band on their roster, including, yeah, Steve Hackett, Hawken, Jethro Tull. You'll know us by the Trail of the Dead, Devin Townsend, Kansas. Dream Theater, and a bunch of other ones, which is pretty cool. I'll have to go search them out, see if they'll collaborate with us or something. Hint, hint. Anyway, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your thoughts on the new Dream Theater album, Parasomnia, in the comments. Love it, hate it. Let us know, let me know. Check out all the comments. I'll respond snarkily. Like the video, share it with your friends and loved ones. Hate it, share it with your enemies. And in the Dream Theater Reddit channel, check the description for all the social media stuff. You can also join our Patreon. We have a prog channel for discussions of prog music like Dream Theater and other prog bands. And check out tastelikerecords.com. And that's it. We'll see you next time here on Taste Like Music.